Hello everyone and welcome to our beautiful Easy Essentials cooking class. I'm Tess Murray and joining me today or co-presenting with me is Catherine Day.
Yeah, but if she's recording, then you know.
All right, but to start off, I might just ask you all to please mute yourselves. More than happy for you to come off mute and ask questions as we go along, because we do love a bit of interaction. However, if you've got noise, background noise, kids, dogs, husbands, whatever, yeah, we would appreciate it if you stayed on mute during that. Okay, so this is a really lovely class. It's all about using your Thermomix for some really basic things that you may or may not have tried before, and that you may or may not know that the Thermomix can actually make these beautiful recipes. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Cath and she's going to kick us off.
Thank you, Tess. So I'm going to swipe. Oh no, what I'll do is I'll call down from my menu planner the first item that is on our menu for today. We've selected a recipe, buttermilk bread. And the reason why we're kicking off with this is that it will take a little while to prove, perhaps half an hour. And we are using this recipe, yet we'll make it up as a focaccia to be baked in the oven. The buttermilk I have made earlier in the Thermomix making butter. So Tess is going to show us shortly how to make that butter and buttermilk, both of the products in the one dish. So I've selected the buttermilk bread recipe and I'm now going to, I've had a quick look at the ingredients and the method. Now I'm going to press start cooking, and I am requested first to add the buttermilk, which it's produced when you make butter. It's gone in there. And then we go to the next step, water. So this recipe will be a bit different from a regular bread. A buttermilk bread is a lot richer because of the inclusion of the fats from the buttermilk. Now we want some yeast. So when you add your yeast, when making any doughs, just make sure you put it to the side of the bowl if you have a Thermomix, not in the centre, because in the centre is the blade, the knob of the blade, and if the yeast goes onto the top of the knob of the blade, it just doesn't come off. Okay, so next step, we're going to proceed with putting the lid in and warming it for 3 minutes at 37 degrees. So this just starts the activation of the yeast, and it's a live product. So it will start the growth, the bacterial action, which will give the rise to the bread. Okay, over to you, Tess.
Fantastic. Thanks, Cath. All right, so I'm going to get started on. Oh, who's made butter before? Okay. All right. So I'm going to start off by putting my butterfly whisk, which comes as a all-inclusive part of the Thermomix purchase. I'm going to pop that in, and I'm going to select from my week, which I have pre-programmed on Cookie Do, the butter recipe. And I simply hit start cooking. Done that.
Tess, something's going wrong with your mic. Your voice is cut out a little bit.
Really? Okay. Yeah.
Anyway, we could hear you making the butter recipe.
I am, Cath.
And you've put your butterfly in, which comes with your Thermomix. That's a whisk, which
Yes.
is used, yeah.
It really just slots in over your blades, nice and handy. And that's going to whip our cream that we're about to put in the next step. Can you hear me better now?
Perfectly.
Oh, good. Well, I turned my screen, but it didn't work. So we're going to go into my week, and I just might need to spotlight so everyone can see what I am doing. All right.
And you just commented, perhaps when you lean forward, that may be when your voice doesn't get picked up very well by the mic.
Okay. So we need pure cream, which I've gone and got this morning. And don't be afraid to get the cream that's reduced and close to its expiry date. It actually works better for butter. Oh my goodness, my Thermomix is taking forever. Oh my goodness.
While you're sorting out, shall I go on with the rest of my bread?
Sure.
Okay, so my yeast has started warming slowly, and now it says to add my flour. Now, notice, maybe you don't notice, but the reality is when I click to the next step, it already activated the scales that I'm going to need to weigh the flour in. I then took the lid off my Thermomix. So the display of the weight is missing the weight of the lid. So I press chair, which means take my scales back to 0. And now I can add in the flour. So baker's flour is what's called a strong flour or a hard flour. It's what's perfect for making bread. And some people will use the 00 flour, which is extra fine for doing pizzas. But if you're doing bread, really your baker's flour is ideal. It's not good for cakes and biscuits. It's just too hard, too high protein level. Plain flour and self-raising flour are best for those. Now, I'm adding salt. So that's just the salt there. It goes on. Insert the lid, which I just press onto the top of the Thermomix, and the locking arms are automatically activated every time I go to start the Thermomix. So now there's a mixing it all together. 6 seconds it's going to take to mix that together. And then my next step will be to knead it. So we can cut back to Tess. The kneading process here is going to take 3 minutes. So I'll pass over to you, Tess.
Fantastic. So I've got my cream, and I'm going to pour that into my mixing bowl with the butterfly whisk. And we are going to whip that. Pop the measuring cup on. And let that person in. And we are going to whip that for on speed 4. And you really just listen, because you want the buttermilk to separate from the actual butter. And there's no set time because it depends on when your how fresh your cream is. So I'm literally just going to listen. So before we get butter, we get whipped cream. Taking the measuring cup off so I can watch it. You hear that thump, 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 thump? Makes a very distinct sound. hopefully you can see in there, the butter has separated from the buttermilk. Now is I've got my simmering basket and a jug, and I'm just going to remove the butterfly whisk. And I am going to pour that in. So, what did I do before? Ah, it's hiding under here. And that is the buttermilk that Cath will have used in her lovely dough mixture. Bit of a messy job. So underneath we have our buttermilk, which I might make pancakes for the kids in the morning with that. Great in scones too. There's an awesome buttermilk scone recipe. So I'm just squeezing a bit more of that buttermilk out. And then we are going to use 500 grams of chilled water. Give or take. We're going to pop the butter solids back in, and this is going to wash it. By washing your butter at least once means that it will last longer. And you can still use the water that we'll be reserving, but it won't be as good as that first rinse. Okay. Then we're going to pop the measuring cup lid back on. And we're going to give it a wash for 5 seconds.
It's going to take some chasing. Yeah, terrific spell.
I have poured. Oh, we've got someone in the waiting room.
271 to win the test match.
I have poured my buttermilk into a jug, and now I'm just going to strain this. And I might pass over to Cath to get her dough going, and then I'll show you what I do with butter.
Beautiful, thanks, Tess. Well, this finished kneading, and what I did was I actually tipped in because it was it's such a wet dough, and I could feel that if you put your finger on it and it sticks to your finger, then the dough is going to be very wet dough, which makes a lovely bread or mix, but it does make it really quite tacky to handle. And adding an extra tablespoon of flour or possibly some additional oil is sufficient to make it much easier to handle. And I'm just using the capacity of the bread to stick to itself to get it all out. The blades are not super sharp for Thermomix. They're not razor sharp like a food processors. So you can actually put your hands on it quite comfortable. You're not going to slice your fingers open. Now for this, this dough, what I'm doing is I've just put, a tiny little drizzle of olive oil in the bottom of the bowl, and I'm now taking this dough with a little bit of olive oil on it so it's less inclined to stick to my hands. And I'm just shaping it. I'm turning all the daggy bits to the bottom so that it's nice and smooth. And that process, that's all you need to do with any bread dough, to turn all the daggy bits to the bottom. Just keep pulling them over so you get a nice smooth surface to it, which one is visually appealing. But the point of it is that you're starting to stretch the fibres, the gluten, to pull against itself. Good rising dough always needs something to pull against. So I've now given it something to work against as it starts to rise. My preference is to cover it with beeswax wrap. You could alternatively use Glad wrap and snuggle it down. This will just give it a nice enclosed environment while it starts to rise. Now that we've got quite warm weather at the moment, so that will rise very effectively at room temperature. If in winter though, you don't have nice room temperature and it's a bit cooler, then this technique here is a handy one to know about. What I've got set up here is firstly a thermoserver, which is a thank you option when you host a Thermomix demonstration or when you bring a couple of guests to a Thermomix event. You might choose one of these 2.6 litre round thermoservers. They're made from a single core of stainless steel with the cavity of air in between, and that means they stay hot. Now, what I've got inside my thermoserver is about 1 centimetre or 2 of boiling water. So the steam from that, from an environment that's lovely and enclosed, with my Verona set up on top, is going to create a gentle, warm environment. Now, this dough I made immediately prior to this class, so not quite an hour ago maybe. And here's my dough doubled in size now. Now, what it is in here in this Verona that comes, this is the steamer that comes with your Thermomix. It's perforated at the bottom, obviously being a steamer to let the air through, steam through. And I've got it wrapped here in my Thermomat, which is a Thermomix product. Thermomat is silicone, flexible, and it's got a fiberglass mesh core, which means that the two products together are quite strong and flexible, but it also means that it's heat proof. You can put it in the oven, you can put it in the freezer, you can use it to roll biscuits, you can use it to roll pastries, etc. So what I'm doing here with the dough is, and this is a very sticky one to which I didn't add any extra flour because I wanted you to see what it will look like. If you don't, it's like very much stickier. That's fine. It'll make a nice product. What we're going to do with this is not make bread. Tess and I are actually going to do this as a simple focaccia. We're going to bake this focaccia in on a baking tray, and I'm space challenged here. Here we go. And making it as a focaccia will mean it'll cook faster, so I can show you at the end of today's class. And we're going to top it with the onions I'll make presently. Okay, so to get it off there, it's a simple process of over-ending it. There we go. I'll give it a bit of a coax with the spatula that comes with the Thermomix. The spatula's got a collar so that it doesn't have any contact. The food surface doesn't have any contact with your bench or table when you put it down, so you don't get a transfer of any bacteria. Okay, so we're just going to pull this out, shape it very gently in a way like so. And
nice
this
and rustic, Cath.
Sorry?
Nice and rustic.
Very rustic, Jess, yeah. And if you leave little finger marks on it, that leaves extra pockets for the oil and flavours that you're going to top it with to nestle into. So I'm not averse to having it look ridged. Okay, so that's my focaccia ready. That'll rise a little bit more as I do the next element of this dish. I'm going to cover it so that it doesn't dry out on the surface with the Thermomat. And that'll keep it clean while we get on with the next bit. Now, the next bit, taking a fresh, clean, dry bowl, is to do some caramelized onions to put on the top of our focaccia. Okay, so I'm going to just quit out of this recipe because I don't need the rest of those instructions right now. So cancel the recipe. Thank you. Yes, I really do mean to do that. And now back into my calendar, which is where I said I would today make these sauteed onions. I've chosen to do them the blondest kind of sauteed onions because they're going to top the focaccia and go into the oven where they'll get browned off even further. So I select this recipe and I start it. Want some oil to go in the bottom of the pan. 20 grams, that's about a tablespoon. Oh yes, and we want to step forward to the next step. And now we add the onions. So I'm using brown onions. You could use eschalots. The thing about your onions that you want is for them to be cut into wedges, as it's explained in this recipe. So my wedges are about 1.5 centimetres wide, 3 or 4 centimetres long. So in goes my onions. I've put in a little bit more. Anyway, that'll be fine. And next step, this recipe, it says to put the Spatter Guard on. Now, this is the Spatter Guard. It's designed so that any oil, any spitting oil from the combination of your liquid and your oil will not come out and land and hurt on anybody or anything. And it's used whenever we activate our high temperature capacity of the Thermomix. When the Thermomix is operating in its high heat mode, it's heating at 160 degrees. So here we go. I'm hoping that my camera will pick up. It will start to stir for a moment or two, and then it will slow down and stop stirring under this high heat mode and just allow the onions to sizzle. So the bottom of my Thermomix bowl will very quickly heat up to its maximum temperature of 160, and I can already hear that oil starting to spit. And soon it will start to smell heavenly. So your high heat temperature is used for browning off your onions, and it's sizzling away. And also any of the alliums, so your garlic as well, you can get beautifully brown caramelized onions, perfect for French onion soup. And high heat temperature is also used for sugar stages, for making your toffees, honeycombs, fudges, etc. How are we going on the sizzle factor, Tess?
Can't hear it.
You just
I
have
really thought we would be able to, because everyone was saying that your Thermomix kneading was drowning me out before. So I got a bit excited thinking we're going to be able to hear the sizzle if they can hear your kneading. But no. Oh, ever so slightly.
Yeah, well, it's really crackling, spitting and crackling inside there.
You'll just have to take our word for us, everyone.
Until you get your own Thermomix, that is.
Yeah, so it is important to note that the TM6 is the only Thermomix that goes up to 160 degrees, and it is also the only Thermomix where the blades actually stop moving to create that caramelization and that little catch feature that Cath was talking about. Just while, are you right if I go on, Cath?
Yep.
Beautiful.
Okay. And I feel like I should mute myself because this is just so loud here in my ear. It's fitting.
Okay, so what I've got here is available in the mix shop. It's a cute little butter bell. Oh, I'm scared I'm going to sneeze. It's a cute little butter bell, and this is how, in days gone by, before we had refrigerators and whatnot, how people used to store their butter so it didn't go off. It's in a ceramic container. So I'm going to pop some of our butter. So this is just butter. There's no salt in it. It's totally unflavored butter. And I'm going to pop it into the butter bell like so. And you really need to kind of push it in to get it to stick, because this is going to turn upside down in a minute. I don't know. Call me nostalgic, but I just love doing something of olden day times and storing my butter like this, and then it's nice and soft as well for when you want to pop it on your toast, and it doesn't take up a lot of room. I don't know, it's a talking point. Maybe I am old-fashioned. So you can see I'm actually getting quite a bit in there. And as I said, these butter bells are on our mix shop. They're not overly expensive. So if you have a Thermomix lover in your life and you don't know what to get them, this is kind of a cool gift that's not going to break the bank. I'm pretty sure they're around about the $14 mark. So there we go. There's our butter in there. And you need to have a little bit of water in the bottom of your container, and the butter goes on top like so, and that will keep for ages. And you just need to change the water every couple of days, and then when you want your butter, you pull it out like so. Cool. And I think they're available in black now as well. So depending on what color your kitchen is, you can all right, I've made a little bit of a mess. Who else is a messy cook? Hopefully someone else is. Don't leave me hanging. Okay, so now we're going to move on, and we are going to do our mayonnaise. Who's made mayonnaise before? Back to my week. Now, if you're keen to know more about Cookie Doo, can I just say, tomorrow night, we are having a Cookie Doo information session. So if you want to learn more about what Cookie Doo, how it works, in essence, it is an online digital recipe library for Thermomix recipes. There are over 70,000 recipes on there, and it's amazing. It's phenomenal. So if you're a bit sick of the old Taco Tuesday and Meat-Free Monday and want some more variety, I strongly suggest you maybe come along on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. It'll be the same Zoom as tonight, and we'll just go through the basics of Cookie Doo and how it can be a game changer for you. Married with your TM6, it just really helps you be a lot better organised. So I'm not going to talk too much about Cookie Doo now, just to know that that is where we source our recipes from. Okay, so this recipe is called the cooked mayonnaise. Now, someone asked before whether the butter recipe is on Cookie Doo. Yes, it is. And what I will do after today is I will send the recording of this class to you all, and I will also list the recipes with the Cookie Doo links. How's that? Nice and simple for you. Okay, so we're going to start cooking. And it says to place a jug on to weigh in your oil. I've used grapeseed oil. You can use other oils if you like. I find grapeseed oil is good because it doesn't have a strong taste. You can use olive oil, but I would use the light olive oil because otherwise it's just too strong and it overpowers your mayonnaise. So I have done that, and I'm going to set that aside. The next step tells us to set the jug aside. Fancy that. A teaspoon of sea salt. Um, 30 grams of white vinegar. Oops. And pop your lid on. And we're going to cook that for 3 minutes at 100 degrees, speed 1. I can almost hear the sizzle, I think, Cath.
It's pretty loud right here next to me, that's for sure. And you should be able to at least see all the steam, and the aroma is really tantalising, naturally.
Yeah. Love onions. Unfortunately, I can't cook with them at the moment because I don't agree with my husband. So that's a real shame. So with the coleslaw I'm about to make, I'll have to chop a bit of onion separately and just put it in mine.
He may be able to eat. He may be able to eat the green part of his spring onions, Tess. If it's fructose, then that might work for him.
No worries. All right. So we've got a bit of a pause. So we may as well have a bit of a news break, I think, at the moment. What do you think, Cath?
I think that's a great idea.
There's some special things happening in Thermyland at the moment. One of them starts tomorrow. What might that be? Does anyone know? Pop it in the chat if you know what begins tomorrow. It's only the second time Thermomix have ever done this. Come on. No one knows. Can't believe it. Trade up. Thank you. Our trade up offer starts tomorrow afternoon, which means that those of you with an older model Thermomix can trade up to get a TM6 on your kitchen bench. So that's pretty exciting. We've all got a little trade up list going of our customers who are very keen to take up the offer. So if you don't know what all that is about, please do just pop it in the chat and we'll go through it. But just check those comments. If you all kind of know what that's all about. Yeah, so basically it's probably more appealing to our 31 customers. And it doesn't matter if your Thermomix is working or not. If it has an overseas plug, doesn't matter. If you might be missing your spatula because it got a bit chewed up or your butterfly's dead, it doesn't matter. We are taking the trade up of the machines in whatever condition they come in, which is pretty cool. So how it works is tomorrow we will send our customers who have told us that they want to trade up a link and they will purchase their new TM6 at the reduced price of $1999. So that is a saving of $360. Then when they send in their old Thermomix, they will be given like a parcel post, postage paid sticker put on it. As soon as the post office scan that sticker and Thermomix know that the older model is on its way into head office, your new Thermomix is dispatched. So you don't have to wait for weeks and weeks and weeks, which is pretty cool. So if any of you know anyone with a Thermomix that, you know, perhaps might not be working and they haven't thought to get it repaired, or might just want a new one, you know, by all means, reach out to Cath or I and we can help you out. So that only goes for 2 weeks. So once the 2 weeks is up, that's it. And the great thing is that the machines that are sent into Thermomix are going to be refurbished, couldn't think of the word, and donated to organisations who, you know, help with charities for, you know, like food banks and that sort of thing. Ronald McDonald House, we've donated a number of Thermomixes to them over the years. So not only are you upgrading your machine, but you are helping these charities to have access to more machines to help them while they're away from home, perhaps in hospital. The Ronald McDonald House, I'm sure everyone knows what that's all about. And those that are broken and can't be fixed, they'll be used for spare parts, and the rest of the leftovers will be disposed of in a responsible way. So that's the first bit of news. Are you ready to go, Cath?
Yes, I just I got mine going a little bit longer because I used a slightly larger quantity of onions. And I thought while you were talking, I could do that. Okay, so I'm bringing back my rustic focaccia. It's risen again. So again, I'm just going to use my spatula to tease it off because it's such a sticky dough. Okay, stuck a little bit, that's fine. And I've got the oven going at about 200 degrees. So that's already pre-warmed. And these onions are only just lightly caramelized, very, very lightly, because once it goes into the oven, they are going to brown off some more. So if you start off with them looking perfect before they go into the oven, they will be burnt when they come out, because this needs to be in the oven long enough for my focaccia to cook all the way through. Okay, so it's risen up beautifully second time. You had more time, you'd let it rise a little bit further, light and fluffy. So straight on. And the other thing that you will do once you've put your onions on top here is sprinkle it with sea salt flakes, just to give that lovely burst of saltiness as you eat it. So it's as easy as that. This is something you could do for a late breakfast one morning, because your bread is going to take a minute and a half to make the mix, and then half an hour or so to prove, and then 10 minutes to make your onions. So all up, we can be done in just over an hour. How about that?
Fantastic. Thanks,
Yeah.
Cath.
Nice
All right.
guest visit, or, you know, an extra bit to go on the side of your dinner. All right, over to you, Tess.
Fantastic. So the next step in the mayonnaise, it's asked me to, in a small bowl, collect 2 eggs and crack them open, which I have done and set aside. And then, I can't read sideways. Turn the selector to speed 3 and add reserved eggs through the hole in the mixing bowl lid. Better. And that's mixing. And then we're going to reinsert the measuring cup in, and for a minute and a half, the measuring cup is in. I'm going to pour it onto the lid, and it's going to beep down in at the right timing to create the emulsification process. Basically, you don't have to worry about pouring it too slowly. You just don't want to overfill your lid.
Tess, can you just tilt your camera further over so we can see your Thermomix at the same time, please? Can anyone see Tess?
I can't hear.
Oh, there you are. You went off the radar altogether. Yeah, if you can just turn your camera a little bit so that we can see your Thermomix as you go, please.
What was that, Cath?
Turn your camera somewhat so that we can see your Thermomix while you're working.
I've got the other screen highlighted. You can't see that?
Oh, I can't. Maybe the others can.
And there we have our beautiful mayonnaise. So simple and so easy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my long-handled spatula available from the mix shop, and I am just going to get out most of my mayonnaise, but not all of it, because I want to use some of it in the coleslaw. As such, I am not going to wash the bowl. So I'm going to just leave all of that in there. And that will. All right, so I'm going to get out of this recipe now. Cancel recipe, yes. And I am going to go into coleslaw recipe. Love coleslaw. Okay, so 100 grams of carrots. And you'll see I cut them on a slight angle, and that just helps the blades grab them a bit better. I don't skimp on things. It's a bit over 100 grams, but that's no matter because I wasn't going to not use the rest of the carrot. Then we've got a green apple, which is I've just cut around the core. And it goes peeled, not peeled, I should say. This is where you would pop in 50 grams of red onion, but I can't. So I'll add mine later. And 200 grams of cabbage. And I like a colourful coleslaw, so I've got green cabbage, and I've also got some purple cabbage as well to make it a bit more colourful. Done. Pinch of salt. And a little bit of pepper. We're having a barbecue tonight. Steak. This will go lovely. 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise. Don't need to do that because it's in and around my bowl. And then I'm going to use the spatula through the hole of the mixing bowl lid to make sure, and there's a little video as well that tells you to do this. And we're going to do like a pulse, basically, a spurt on turbo of 2 seconds. However, no, it's not on turbo, sorry, it's on speed 4. I know that's not going to be enough, but the power of the blades of the Thermomix, better to go too little than too far because you can always do more, but you can't undo it. All right, so we're going to go speed 4. 2 seconds. And I'm going to go again because I know that. Now I'm going to have a look at it. And it's pretty much personal preference too. If you like it really chunky, you might be happy with how it looks at the moment. And I'm not. That is too chunky for us. So I'm going to go again. What's everyone else having for dinner tonight?
I found a recipe, Tess, on Cookie Doo for a eggplant and peanut coconut curry. So that's going to be on our menu tonight because our eggplants are growing very nicely. So having it as the feature of a dish would be just
fantastic. You can keep those because, as you know, I'm allergic.
They're a nightshade, yeah. But they are gorgeous and they are delicious. It's a shame you can't eat them, but we've got so many other things you can eat.
That's right.
Yeah.
So here we go. Salad in seconds. Absolutely beautiful. They'll go lovely in the kids' hamburgers tonight. Here you go.
Yeah.
Homemade mayonnaise and a beautiful coleslaw. Too easy. Now, Cath, would you like to tell everyone our other little secret bit of news that's happening in March?
Oh, yes. This is the big excitement. It's called, I'm just thinking about the name of this dish. If you look eggplant and peanut coconut curry, you'll be very close. If you've got those keywords, you'll find that recipe. And it's delicious and it includes peanut butter, but I've got my own homemade almond butter, and I've got a peanut and nut seed butter. So that'll be what's going in our curry. So the news of the decade, and I know it's only news, so it's easy to declare this news, is that, well, in Thermomix world, it's news of our decade, is that for the first time in the life of Thermomix in Australia, we will have a black Thermomix. It's a limited edition produced by Vorwerk over in Germany for us, and they've only produced so many worldwide. Our allocation is our allocation, and when they're sold, that's the end of them. So it is a black, shiny, glossy black, limited edition TM6 in finite numbers, available on pre-sale beginning the 1st of March. And it will be sent in a bundle together with 2 thermoservers. The round one that you saw just now, as I had it stacked for steaming the bread, will be in black, a black round 2.6 litre thermoserver, great for keeping your food hot or cold for a few hours, and also an oval 2.5 litre thermoserver, very similar in size to your Verona lid. And so the oval thermoserver is really good for fish, asparagus and so on. That will also be black. If there are any black limited TM6 limited edition Thermomixes by the end of March, they'll be available for sale in April with only the black thermoserver. So if you're after a black one, get in early in March so that you can receive the 2 thermoservers together with that all black Thermomix.
I think, judging by the numbers of people who've registered, I don't think it will go on sale in April. I really think it's going to sell out in March, and probably in the first 2 weeks. Yeah, that's what's sort of being whispered around the traps.
Okay, so we've just got to get onto it quickly. It will, of course, look stunning in those kitchens where people have a black aesthetic with all of their kitchen furniture and kitchenware, bench tops and cupboards, etc. But also, I think it will complement just the brilliant colours of the Thermomix. When we go into Cookie-Doo, looking for recipes, as I was doing earlier, you've got a brilliant, vibrant coloured screen. And when it's switched off, it'll be all black. So that's our black Thermomix, available from the 1st of March. Get in early if you want one.
Fantastic. Thanks, Cath. How's your focaccia going?
Look, it's over there in the oven. I'll need to race over and get it. The other thing is that Cobalt is shipping with an above 4 bundle as of tomorrow, isn't it? That's Valentine's Day. So free $200 worth of accessories with the upright vacuum cleaner.
I love my upright Cobalt. My husband still, force of habit, goes for the broom every morning, and I'm like, I get my cordless vacuum out. It literally sits at the end of the bench next to the Thermomixes, ready to be used at a moment's notice. And I thought, oh, gee, it's not, it's not sucking as well as it usually is, and it needed a change of the bag. But it's incredible how long those bags last, isn't it, Cath? They really compact the dust and dirt and fluff. And yeah, I don't remember the last time I changed it. It was quite some time ago, and I do use my cordless vacuum pretty much every day, multiple times a day. I love it.
I was emptying the Dyson canister every second day because I was vacuuming daily, and I find that the Vorwerk cleans the floor so well I don't need to vacuum daily anymore, but
good.
It's still, vacuuming up the same quantity as ever. But the one bag lasted 2 months. And, of course, I knew when to change the bag because the colours on the lights changed and told me that it was due for a new bag.
Awesome.
Yeah. Oh, my focaccia's not quite ready. It's still not.
Has anyone got any questions? Oh, we've got some comments here. Pumpkin risotto, yum. Hello, Olivia. The big bag of eggplant, so I might do the same recipe. That was Linda. Is it called eggplant and coconut curry?
No, eggplant. No, coconut. It's got the word peanut in there as well in the title.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing to do with eggplants, if you've got your big bag of eggplants, you only need about two large eggplants, and you'll make the brinjal, Brinjal. It's a Malaysian dish. It's a relish of sorts, but I'm not really a mad keen relish consumer, but I absolutely love this brinjal relish. It's from the Festive Flavour cookbook, and it's very Moorish. Makes wonderful gifts too. So fabulous to make it this time of year when the eggplants are seasonally fresh and plentiful.
Okay, well, Linda's having trouble finding it, Cath. She said she's put in eggplant and peanuts and it isn't coming up. I might pull it.
I'll go off screen. Oh, I can find it on my Thermomix. I can come back to you on my screen here because I've got it in today's recipes.
That's a good idea.
I'm making it tonight.
And Susie, that sounds delicious, is having pork and nectarine stir fry, caffeine lime, pepper, chili and garlic chopped in TM, then rice cooked in unwashed bowl. Yum.
Oh,
I got my mouth watering.
yeah. Oh, do you know why you may not be finding it? It's from the UK, so you've got to open beyond Australia.
Change your filters. And if you don't know how to do that, you need to come tomorrow night to our Cookie Do special. What's for breakfast, Inga? Inga's looking forward to her breakfast tomorrow. Now I need to know. Or are you coming over for the buttermilk pancakes?
Okay, so it's not only English, but from the UK. The other problem with this recipe is that it's called aubergine, coconut and peanut curry. So I've translated it, and I'm really sorry when I said you had to look for the word eggplant. You've got to look for the word aubergine or aubergine. And that's the recipe right there. Aubergine, coconut and peanut curry.
There you go.
Yeah, let me check my focaccia again.
Okay, so Olivia has said she loves eggplant, but the kids are not huge fans. Do you have any recipe suggestions for kids? I'll have to ask Cath because eggplant does not make its way into our house. I am violently allergic to it.
Okay, so I'm only going to hold on to this for a little minute because it's hot.
That looks beautiful. Cath, do you have any kid-friendly recipes, including eggplant?
The brinjal is one I really recommend. Brinjal is just the Malay word for eggplant, but that dish is called brinjal. Brinjal relish. And there's also an eggplant high heat recipe in your Thermomix. Beyond that, I would do a search, but I would make sure I would search worldwide in English for eggplant recipes and just put in the ingredient is going to be eggplant, and I'd also search on aubergine and brinjal, and that'll pick up all of the recipes that contain that ingredient.
Fantastic. All right. Well, thank you very much for tuning in with us today. It's right on 5 o'clock, and I do like to run on time. I hope you've enjoyed it and that you'll make some of these recipes if you've not already made them. I'm a bit hungry. I'm looking forward to my coleslaw with our steak tonight on the barbecue. Thank you very much, Cath, for assisting me with this little cooking class. Really appreciate your expertise and beautiful smiling face. Thank you. And that's it. So if you're watching on back on the YouTube link, we extend our welcome to you also. But thank you for those who have joined us in person, and we hope you have an awesome day. And thank you very much again for joining.
Absolutely. Thank you and cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Bye.